Welcome VR fanatics. Welcome back to the best VR game announcement series on YouTube, where we have a look at the most promising VR games that have an announced release date for the coming months. In September we have a good variety of genres, one highly anticipated PvP title and a mod.
Let's roll out!
Come back here! I'm not done with you!
We are starting things off with a PlayStation VR exclusive title. That is something we don't see a lot anymore. Transformers Beyond Reality is an on-rails wave shooter. You fight as a human alongside, quote, your favorite Autobots. Take on hordes of Insecticons, battle epic Decepticons and even travel to Cybertron. I don't know what any of that means, but you guys might, hopefully. This is very dated gameplay on kind of a dated platform, but if you're one of the 3 people still playing on a PSVR, at least there's something new, right? They initially planned to release on PC alongside the PlayStation, but the PC version got canned for good. The game is scheduled to release on September 1st.
4, 3, 2, 1. Initiate burn.
In Interkosmos 2000 you pilot a small space capsule with a mission to save the ISS and the future of mankind. Obviously things go not as planned. Oh no, things go wrong, very wrong indeed. You need to master the multitude of controls that keep your craft in orbit and yourself breathing, so you can keep living long enough to complete the mission. Interkosmos 2000 is a sequel to Interkosmos, which released in 2017 for PCVR to very positive reviews. For the sequel, the developers promised more challenges, more stunning visuals and more hours of replayability. This one is also scheduled to release on September 1st, this time exclusive for the Quest 2 though. From the team that brought you Car Mechanic Simulator VR comes the new smash hit of VR ports of Vehicle Tinkerer Sims, Tank Mechanic Simulator VR. Go out onto World War II battlefields and find yourself a tank or any armored vehicle. Bring it back to your workshop and make it all pretty again. Then either sell it, that seems to be a legitimate business proposition, or put it into your own museum to generate funds. You get a whole lot of tools at your disposal to disassemble and refurbish parts of the vehicle. You can spray paint it pink and add custom decal to it. The car one landed to mixed reviews mainly due to clunky controls and the whole thing being a bit buggy. Let's see if this one does better. Tank Mechanic Simulator VR is scheduled to release also on September 1st for PCVR on Steam. 1 day, 3 games, 3 platforms. Ultimechs is a competitive VR PvP game by Resolution Games, the studio that is responsible for the very popular Blaston and Demio. This is a bit like Rocket League but with actual rockets. Aim your fist, fire and control mid-air to hit the ball and pass it to your teammate, knock it out of your opponent's reach or make a shot for the goal. Movement of your mech is constrained as you can only jump between the nodes on the floor for strategic positioning. The focus of the game is rather on controlling your rocket-propelled fists. This is a PvP only game featuring 2v2 or 1v1 matches. The game will be free to play with an optional paid battle pass that lets you unlock cosmetics, so basically standard fare for competitive PvP games nowadays. Ultimechs is the first VR game though to adopt this monetization model, or at least the first that I am aware of. The game will have crossplay over all supported platforms. It launches on September 15th for PCVR on Steam, for the Quest 2 and on Pico devices. 1 day, 1 game, 3 platforms. This is the first time I get to mention the Pico. Does anyone watching have one of those? Let me know in the comments if you do.
Rise and shine, Mr. Freeman.
End of the line.
Rise and shine.
I usually don't feature mods in this series, but this one has a whole lot of buzz behind it, so I'll give it a short section. This mod has been in the works for 5 years now and finally gets a public beta release on September 16th on Steam. So not officially done yet, the mod already lets you play the entire base game of Half-Life 2 in VR with completely revamped controls and mechanics. You get full motion controls, 1 and 2 handed weapons, a manual reload mechanic, you get to swing your crowbar, pick up and throw items, manually climb ladders, it's the whole deal. In the future, the team will do a lot of polishing and plans to add more comfort options, AI upscale textures, and to include the expansions episode 1 and 2. The mod is going to be free, but you have to own the Steam version of Half-Life 2, which should be in your Steam library anyway. If it isn't, you should re-evaluate all your life's decisions that led you to this point. Or just go and buy it. It's less than $10 full price now, and you will get one of the most iconic and beloved first-person shooters, period. The team behind this mod planned to make the source code public, so it should be easier for devs to bring their Source Engine games to VR in the future. Let's get to something a bit more serene. Reflection is a small VR puzzle game, mainly centered around the concept of mirror worlds. Your actions in the mirror world will have consequences for the real world and vice versa. Traverse through the mirrors to solve logic, physics, space and time-based puzzles. The game is inspired by Zhao Xuejin's novel The Dream of the Red Chamber, one of the great pieces of classic Chinese literature. Accordingly, the aesthetics are inspired by classic Chinese art and architecture, and the game will have an original soundtrack that fuses electronic music with traditional Chinese tunes. Reflection is scheduled to release on September the 30th for PCVR on Steam. As an honorable mention, we have 2 Quest ports. The Sim is a god sim that released for PCVR back in 2016 to very positive ratings. The game is scheduled to release for the Quest 1 and 2 in September, no exact date so far. Into the Radius is a stalker-inspired single-player survival shooter that released for PCVR in 2020 to an excellent reception. A Quest 2 port should come sometime in September. For this one we also don't have an exact date yet. We do have a new release date for a game we covered previously in this series. Requisition VR is a session-based zombie survival game that lets you craft custom weapons and traps from scavenged household appliances, was pushed back to September 22nd. That's it for the coming months. Is there anything you are excited about and want to dive into? Let me know in the comments below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the content and subscribe if you always want to be up to date on upcoming VR game releases. Until next time,